Coffee and Headlines is brought to you by the generous support of our viewers and the following community partners: Best Cord Cutting TV, Bravo's Restaurant Bar, El Rey Lounge de Versalles, Joint Boutique Hotel and Cowork, Monzon Brewing Company, Puerto Vallarta Neurofeedback, Puerto Vallarta Owners Reps, Oculto, and Siam Cocina Thai. Thank you for your support, and thank you for supporting our community partners. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. It is Saturday, all day long, Saturday, June 21st, and here we are getting ready to enjoy the rest of the weekend. It is not raining now, but it's fairly overcast out there. The nice ladies at the eatery, the puesto de tortas y de tacos across the street, they're cooking something wonderful today because the smell is coming in through my window and I'm getting all antsy. It's too early to be hungry, but here we are. Um, we have thought provoking news. Today is not one of those days in which the news are great or horrible. They're just thought provoking. And, it is what it is. I'm going to share with you what I found, and we'll take it from there. The first bit that I want to share with you kind of bummed me out because I know that there are people in the English speaking community that support this children's shelter, Corazón de Niña. The Office of the Attorney General for the Protection of Children and Teenagers carried out an operation to protect 28 minors who were being held at the Corazón de Niña shelter in Puerto Vallarta because the center lacked legal permits and did not meet the minimum hygiene, sanitation, and civil protection requirements required for its operation. This is very sad. During the inspection, authorities detected multiple irregularities that jeopardized the safety and well-being of the children and adolescents housed there. Therefore, urgent protective measures were issued, including the immediate release of the 28 minors, out of which 23 were reintegrated into their families after it was confirmed that their admission to the shelter was voluntary. The remaining 5, who were under institutional guardianship, were transferred to other care centers that guarantee adequate conditions for the protection and development of their rights. Now, I am not personally well informed about this particular shelter. I don't know. I've never visited it. I do know that the name rings a bell because someone, maybe Amy Armstrong, I'm not even sure, has recently and has frequently done performances to benefit them. What can we do with this information? Well, I'm not saying that they behaved badly, but there is something to be said about the legal and fiscal responsibilities that any nonprofit in our city has to have in order to operate. And a lot of times, and this is just my 2 cents, there's a lot of times in which we are touched by some of these places and touched by their goals and pursuits. But it is important to remember that part of the responsibility of creating a safe haven in this particular case for children has got to do with operating up to the standards that are not only expected by the government, but that are also guaranteed in Mexico's constitution. So hopefully this will be resolved. Hopefully the center will operate or will come back to normal at some point in the near future. If you're familiar with it or you have any comments to this effect, I would love to read. I'm not, again, well versed with Corazón de Niña. If somebody is, please tell us your thoughts. And we're going to go back to Thursday night because apparently Thursday night's storm was one for the books. Little did we know. because now we find out through Victor Cornejo, who's a meteorologist with the city's Civil Protection Scientific Committee, that during the rain that we received on Thursday night, we received 75% of the expected rainfall for an entire month in just a matter of hours. So I saw that it rained for a long time. I didn't realize that it was um, so much of it. And of course, the storms from Thursday night and Saturday and Friday morning left multiple damages in Puerto Vallarta, primarily along the sides of Francisco Medina Ascencio Boulevard, which was even closed to vehicular traffic. The water rose up to 80 centimeters by the IMSS hospital. And it's worth remembering that these are the lateral roads and the sidewalks that were just rebuilt. Uh, so, do we blame the city and the government for this, or who do we blame? If we blame, why is this happening? Well, I'm sure that construction has something to do with it, but and we were just talking about this yesterday. There's also something to be said again about the lack of garbage-related culture. In Puerto Vallarta, the accumulation of trash in storm drains has become one of the main factors causing flooding and during the rainy season. And every day, sanitation staff sometimes have to remove a ton of waste with which is irresponsibly dumped in the streets, clogging the drainage system and causing flooding in various areas of the city. This commentary came from Javier Navarro, who's the director of Efficient Services. He pointed out that the lack of awareness and civil culture among some people who take out trash outside of established hours or dump it directly in public streets generates serious problems during rainy season. This trash carried by the water ends up blocking storm drains and causing flooding, especially in low-lying and tourist areas of Puerto Vallarta. We've seen it everywhere. In Versalles, just a couple of blocks away from where I live, there is this crazy habit in some intersections to put the trash right in the middle of the street, literally in the middle of the intersection. And this is probably because nobody wants to have the in their curb, so they figure, well, let's put it in the middle of the street so that nobody has to deal with it on their own curb. But maybe, just maybe, that is part of the problem and that is not part of the solution. And then this one blew my mind. Again, this is not our usual programming, but it's rainy season and strange things happen when it starts to rain, and we've forgotten that the road is now slippery and we need to be careful. Check this out. A city bus, an inbound bus, fell into a ditch yesterday morning at 7:30 in the morning as it was entering Cinco de Diciembre. I know that intersection well. That is when the buses detour from Medina Ascencio and then take a left-hand turn to get into Cinco de Diciembre, and that is a sharp turn. You have to be driving fairly fast in that sharp turn to lose control of your vehicle, but clearly this is what happened to this particular driver. There were no injuries, thank goodness, only minor bruises and some surprises, although some eyewitnesses claimed that the driver was zigzagging, indicating that he may have been falling asleep on the job, which again, I'm not going to tell you that sitting on the city bus is unsafe. It is just unfortunate that this happened, but man, to fall into a ditch at where you're supposed to be driving slow to take a turn, that was a little crazy. And we are at our weather break. Let's take a quick look at what we can expect as far as rain and temperature are concerned for the next couple of days. I told you, crazy news for today. And Snarky Weatherman says, yep, it's raining. What do you want me to do about it? Well, we love the rain, but again, we got to be careful about it. It is 28 degrees out there. Humidity is at 75% at present time. And our weather forecast indicates we'll have light rain throughout the day with a chance of rain of 67%, a high of 29, and a low of 21. Then tomorrow, Sunday, light rain throughout the day with a chance of rain of 77%, a high of 29. Now that's a new one. 29, not 29. That is Spanglish for 29. A high of 29 and a low of 22. That would be tomorrow, 29. Where the hell did that come from? And then Monday, we begin the work week with mostly cloudy skies in the morning with rain in the afternoon, at chance of rain of 88% or 88%. If we're going to continue to abuse language, why not? A high of 29 and a low of 22. And that's what we can expect for the next few days. I will get to your comments in a moment. I see you guys are typing a lot today. That's lovely. Let's see what we have. Well, here is one of the inconveniences with violent behavior in Mexico. A lot of times people are concerned about, is it safe? Is it dangerous? Should we come here? Should we not come here? What about this place? What about that place? Well, for the most part, drug-related violence has very little to do with mere mortals like you and I. But unfortunately, there are consequences to violent activity, because when people become too afraid to go to certain places because of something that happened recently, then third parties get to suffer. And this is exactly what is happening at the beautiful area of Guachimontones. We know that there's a circular pyramid outside of Guadalajara. It's not far from the mountain highway. I've always wanted to visit this archaeological zone. I've never been able to, or at least not yet. It is located within the municipality of Teuchitlan. But of course, Teuchitlan suffered a downturn in tourism after the violence and discovery of the Izaguirre Ranch last March by the Jalisco warrior searchers. And we talked about that at the time. And of course, that was investigated and steps followed and whatnot. But unfortunately, restaurants in this general area are not doing very well. So to revive Teuchitlan's economy, Governor Pablo Lemus plans to promote tourism, particularly at the La Vega Dam, which is nearby, and there are restaurants there, and the Huachimontones Archaeological Zone. So should you be afraid to go there after there was an incident that happened several months ago? I personally wouldn't, and I hope that the area recovers quickly. But do let me know how you feel when you find out about these kinds of incidents. Do you stay concerned about going or not? And how do you navigate that? Again, my personal feeling about these incidents is that they're not happening to me directly. And as long as one is mindful of this and one exercises carefulness and common sense, it should be okay. Now, I'm going to show you something that is going to date me, but then I'm going to ask you a question about this. This I found out just a few minutes ago. On December 17 at Auditorio Telmex, one of the big auditoriums in Guadalajara, there's going to be a concert that I would not mind attending. This is a concert by Toto, with special guest Christopher Cross. Oh my God, this sends me to music that I was listening through my teenage years. And I used to love Toto. The band was so tight, and their music. They're the people that gave us Africa, that wonderful song. I don't know if you remember it. Do tell me if you would go to this concert, if you would skip it. I wonder if these musicians were in your life. And of course, Christopher Cross came and went with his hit Sailing, and then he did a theme for the movie Arthur, and he had a couple of hit songs, but then we didn't hear much more of him after that. And this gets me thinking also about And this is happening to me. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys just passed away, and I've known peripherally that he was a genius. And I am learning now through all these tribute videos that I'm watching that he was bigger than I knew. But for whatever reason, the Beach Boys were not in my radar growing up. I knew some of the hits because I heard them, but I was not really into that music. But now my musical brain is getting really, really curious about this. Another music group that was not in my radar, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, is it too late to discover Pink Floyd? Now, a lot of times, and I'm about to get done with this because I want to hear your comments. A lot of times, our friends may roll their eyes when we confess things like, well, I never listened to this before. I've never read this book. I've never seen this movie. What are things that you haven't done or seen or enjoyed or listened to that your friends might be surprised to know? Like, for example, I have never seen The Handmaid's Tale or read the book. So whenever I mention that I want to watch the series, people laugh at me. Well, not laugh at me, but they're like, "You, what do you mean you never saw it?" I've have never seen Game of Thrones either. And I may or may not get to it, but these are things that sometimes happen to me. I wonder if they happen to you. What have you missed out for whatever reason? Oh, and I've never seen Gone with the Wind. So there you go. Guilty as charged. Let us shift over to your comments as I am curious to see what is on your mind about all this thought-provoking information. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of good mornings. Oh, I have to agree with this, Logan. Catching up on all the sleep I didn't get winter and spring. I am sleeping so well. This morning I slept in, but here we are on schedule. But yeah, this weather is beautiful for sleeping, unless it gets too thundery. Let's see what else we have. Many more good mornings. Thank you very much. Let's see. Is it that garbage that plugged them? Is it that garbage that plugged them? I don't know what specifically this is about, Angelica. So if you want to rephrase that, I would love to try to answer your cue. Let's see. Laura says, the plugging of drains from trash is going to be a problem. We're always taught to dispose of things properly. Not everybody does that. Does this, sadly. Well, here's the thing. I don't think we're going to change local culture and some visitors' culture overnight. But what feels strange to me, living here year-round for the past 23 years, is that it's gotten worse. So I don't know if it's gotten worse because people are lazier about their trash or because the flooding that is happening in areas that have been recently intervened with better pavement and better this and better that were just not designed properly. I mean, the major flooding that we're hearing about lately is happening on Medina Ascencio, which was just dug out to be rebuilt, and on that street near the hospital, Montessori, which again was dug out to be paved. And why is this happening? What a big mystery. I don't know. Let's see. Crazy bus moments. Yes, absolutely. I would not have wanted to be in that bus ride. Let's see. I grew up in EP Go Eagles. That was not for me, I suppose. I have no idea what EP stands for. Early prostate? No, definitely not that, I'm sure. Let's see what else we have. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Laura says, I would love to go to that. Step back in time. I don't know how much tickets are going to be. They're probably going to be outrageously expensive. But Toto. Oh, here's another kindred spirit. Joanne says, they would warm up for Rush back in the day. Sailing, darn it, I can't hold a tune. I love it. Angelica says, I love Pink Floyd. I'm just discovering Pink Floyd. I saw a bit of a concert that was filmed in an Athens ruin last night on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, I really need to do this with headphones. Again, have never explored their music. Thank you for that, Pam. Never too late to get into Pink Floyd, comfortably numb. I had older brothers. Well, I still do. But, my older brother, Eduardo, was a rocker in the house. So growing up, I was very influenced by his taste. Like, he used to listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And yes, so I used to listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And yes, but Pink Floyd, never. But now I'm curious. Thank you, Betsy. Maybe I'll throw them into music appreciation presentations just to make it be worth something, not just my own personal curiosity. Pink Floyd and the Beach Boys. There is that song by Brian Wilson, God Only Knows. I do know that song, and that song is just absolutely beautiful and fascinating from the harmonic point of view, if you try to analyze it musically. I'm from Albuquerque and never watched Breaking Bad. There you go. Fair. I watched the first couple of episodes and then I stopped. It didn't grab me, but I definitely want to give it a go. Thank you for that, Tammy. What? See, we do that to each other. I can't believe, Claude, you've never watched Mary Poppins. But we are who we are. It's a fabulous movie. I remember, oh my God, I remember once when I was into Laserdiscs. I think I had it on Laserdisc. And I remember getting together with my friend Corey, and we got very, very high. And we watched Mary Poppins in French just for the sake of it. We didn't understand a single word, but I remember we laughed out loud so hard. It's not even funny. You were a baby when the Beach Boys were at their peak, but there have never been such great harmonies. I was not even born when Claude Debussy was doing what he was doing, and I love his music, or Ravel, or a lot of the classics. I just haven't gotten around to it for some reason. But you're right. I was just a baby when the Beach Boys were doing their thing. Christy says, I'm with you on Game of Thrones and Handmaid's Tale. Haven't seen either and kind of don't care to. Well, I kind of care to about some shows because I want to be part of the conversation. Like when I'm getting together with friends and they start talking about a show that I haven't seen, I feel a little left out of the picture. But how fun it is to think of series that you can talk about with friends that have watched them before. So that's the only reason why I would be curious about some of these very popular items. Oh, and what's the name of the singer? The big popular American singer? It's not Shania No. What's her name? There's even an adjective for people that watch her. And she's with a football player. I don't know her music. I don't know her music at all. It's just one of those things. Let's see. That must have been wild, Michael. I saw the Beach Boys live at the Washington Monument with Ringo Starr. My goodness. I love it. And thank you for that comment, Mark. If not for Pet Sound, Sgt. Pepper never would have been made. I am aware of some of the innovations and some of the overlap, but as I was discovering last night, the Pet Shop Boys made a lot more albums than the Beatles, and somehow the Pet Shop Boys don't get as much recognition. I don't know. I'm just testing the waters here, but I appreciate all these comments. Thank you very much. Uh Betsy says, Logan, may I join the two of you for Dark Side? I love it. Oh my God, a Dark Side of the Moon listening party. I would love to be with friends. I love it. I love it. You have a lot of comments about this. I appreciate this very much. Jerome says, never followed Game of Thrones either, or The Handmaid's Tale, or 2001 A Space Odyssey. Fair. 2001 is one of my favorite films. Logan says, definitely a music appreciation afternoon in the making. Well, you will know if I put together a Pink Floyd music appreciation presentation, I will be doing it as a complete newbie. So I would have my research cut out for me, and I would probably enjoy it very much. Devin has great wishes for me. Thank you. Pink Floyd and a brownie for Paco. Oh, thank you very much. Let's see. John says Breaking Bad was an amazing series. It won a bunch of awards, and the actor is amazing. I need to find time to dive into these things. Claude says Pink Floyd reminds me of my older brother smoking huge amounts of pot and a strobe light, listening to Pink Floyd. Well, yeah, it's nice to see that you were also influenced by your older brothers. I was. So we'll oh, John, we have to change that. Severance was brilliant. We were just talking about it at Michel Legrand, the music presentation the other day, because the cliffhanger scene from the second season features a very popular song by Michel Legrand as performed by Mel Torme. It was absolutely amazing. Somebody somewhere, says Pamela. Speaking of great series, I will definitely add that to my list. Stan says, my take is that the flooding isn't due to incorrect street design. Street drainage is assigned to a certain liters per minute. Combine intense rain plus more concrete plus trash blocking systems, and you will have flooding. As they say, water always wins. I hear you. Taylor Swift, that is who I was talking about a second ago. I am sure that if somebody put on some Taylor Swift, I might recognize the tunes, but I've never been drawn to her music. Please don't hate me. Boom, boom, boom. I know you've tried, Logan. I don't know that I'm going to be a Swiftie. You know, I've tried to get you into Murderbot, and I've tried to get you into a lot of series that you don't go to, so we are even. Ha ha ha. Let's see. Angelica says Pink Floyd is better with a good brownie. Well, we'll have to take that into account. And Pamela says you need marijuana for 2001 Space Odyssey. Well, it was a factor. Well, the final scenes were, let's just say, a lot of people saw it high from what I read. And this brings us to the end of a very lively conversation. Thank you very much for showing your interest in music and your interest in series. I'm going to take all this information into account. And I'm going to Lucha Libre this afternoon. Maybe I'll see some of you there. Maybe I won't. It's going to be a wet weekend, so do try to make the best of it. And I will see you again on Monday morning with more coffee, more headlines, and more stories. Have a great weekend.